Commander Zethkar of the Hegemony Fleet stared at the tactical display with growing disbelief. The blue dot representing Earth should have been nothing more than a smoldering ruin by now, yet it pulsed defiantly against the star chart's darkness. Around it, the scattered remains of what had once been the most formidable invasion force in galactic history drifted like cosmic debris. "Status report," he demanded, his 4 arms trembling with barely contained rage. "Sir," his tactical officer began hesitantly, "we've lost contact with 67% of the invasion fleet. The humans, they're still fighting." Zethkar's mandibles clicked in frustration. When the Galactic Council had first detected the primitive civilization on the 3rd planet of Sol, they had dismissed humanity as another minor species to be absorbed into the hegemony. The humans possessed no advanced technology, no energy shields, no faster-than-light communications. Their weapons were crude, projectile-based systems that any civilized species had abandoned millennia ago. The invasion should have taken 3 solar cycles. Instead, it had dragged on for 8 months. Lieutenant Sarah Chen crouched behind the twisted wreckage of what had once been a hegemony battle cruiser, now serving as cover in the ruins of New Shanghai. Her rifle was down to its last magazine, and the power cell in her exosuit was blinking red. Around her, the survivors of the 4th Earth Defense Regiment prepared for what they all knew would be their final stand. "Ma'am," Corporal Rodriguez whispered, pointing toward the smoke-filled horizon. "More dropships incoming. Looks like a full battalion." Sarah nodded grimly. The aliens had been throwing wave after wave of troops at their position for 3 days. Each assault had been repelled, but at tremendous cost. Of the 500 soldiers who had dug in here a week ago, fewer than 30 remained. What the hegemony hadn't understood about humans was something that couldn't be quantified in their tactical algorithms. They had measured humanity's technology, counted their weapons, calculated their industrial capacity, but they had failed to account for the one thing that made humans truly dangerous: their absolute refusal to accept defeat. Dr. Martinez worked frantically in the underground laboratory beneath the ruins of MIT. Above ground, the thunder of alien artillery shook dust from the ceiling with each impact. His team of 12 scientists and engineers had been tasked with what the military brass had euphemistically called asymmetric warfare solutions. "The targeting system is still too slow," Martinez muttered, adjusting the neural interface one. "More time." "The alien ships move too fast for conventional weapons." "What if we don't use conventional weapons?" asked Dr. Patel, looking up from her workstation. "The asteroid mining charges we've been working with, if we could somehow deliver them precisely." Martinez paused, his mind racing. The humans had one advantage the aliens didn't expect: their willingness to sacrifice everything for victory. What if that wasn't just metaphorical? Captain James Morrison had been dead for 3 minutes and 14 seconds when his ship's AI brought him back. The experimental resurrection protocol was untested, unauthorized, and probably would have been deemed inhumane by any civilized species. But humans, Morrison had learned, weren't particularly civilized when their survival was at stake. "Status," he croaked, his voice barely functional as his nervous system rebooted. "Hull breach on decks 7 through 12, the AI reported. "Life support failing, weapon systems offline. But, Captain, we're still moving toward the hegemony flagship." Morrison smiled through the blood coating his teeth. The aliens had made a fatal error in judgment. They assumed that losing meant surrender. But humans had a different relationship with losing. Sometimes the only way to win was to make victory cost more than the enemy was willing to pay. "Set collision course," he ordered. "Maximum burn." "Sir, that will—" "I know what it will do." Across the galaxy, Admiral Voxthal reviewed the casualty reports with mounting horror. The humans had turned every city into a fortress, every ship into a weapon, every defeat into a Pyrrhic victory for the hegemony. They fought with a mathematical impossibility that defied all strategic doctrine. They fought as if they had already lost, making every day of survival a victory in itself. The humans had weaponized desperation. They converted civilian spacecraft into ramming vessels, turned their dead worlds into trap-laden nightmares, and refused every offer of surrender with a cheerfulness that bordered on the psychotic. Most disturbing of all, they had begun to enjoy it. "Sir," his intelligence officer reported, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Sol system. It appears the humans are moving asteroids." Voxthal's blood chilled. Moving asteroids meant only one thing. They were planning something that would make their previous desperate tactics look conservative. In the depths of space, Dr. Martinez's final invention came online. The neural network connected every human defender across the solar system into a single massive targeting computer. Every pilot, every gunner, every soldier became a node in a weapon system that turned human intuition and desperation into precision death. The hegemony had brought overwhelming force to humanity's doorstep, expecting quick submission. Instead, they found something their computers couldn't model, a species that had evolved not just to survive, but to thrive in impossible circumstances. A species that looked at certain death and asked not, "How do we avoid this?" but "How do we make this cost them everything?" When the first human asteroid, rigged with experimental faster-than-light drives and guided by the collective consciousness of a dying species, materialized inside the hegemony's main fleet, Zethkar finally understood the tactical error. Humans weren't defending their world. They were teaching the galaxy what happened to those who threatened it. The war ended not with humanity's surrender, but with the hegemony's terrified retreat. In the aftermath, as rescue ships from neutral worlds arrived to offer aid, they found something unprecedented, a species that had faced annihilation and somehow transformed it into victory through sheer, bloody-minded refusal to accept the inevitable. The galaxy would remember Earth's defenders not as victims, but as the species, too stubborn to die.